Oh, I think Tales of Race froze on me. Okay, I guess I'll just close that off for now. Charge that up. Alright, going into trial for poor Soseki! Obviously, I'm sure there's probably another trial. I don't know. I mean, we never did talk to Pentensi. He just kind of went and, like, to the hospital, so. Okay. It's February 22nd, 9:23 in the morning in Old Bailey, the defendant's lobby. Old Bailey Courthouse. It's got its usual undefinable air. There's this chill that penetrates to the depths of my insides, and yet it carries a tinge of warmth. I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! Good morning! Poor Soseki. Soseki-san, good morning. It's only been 2 days since I was declared innocent in this courthouse. The incident where Viridian-san was stabbed in the back, huh? And yet! Yesterday a new incident occurred and now here we are! With incredible speed! That's true. Curse might be the most fitting way to describe him. Naruhodo-sama! Something terrible has happened! Well now, Soseki-sama, good morning. Good morning! Good luck today. I'll be counting on you! So, what terrible thing has happened now, Legal Aid Mikatoba? Oh dear, you heard that. You said it in such a loud, terrified voice, it practically drilled its way into my ears! Oh, I'm very sorry. It's alright, Susato-san. Just tell us what happened. The prosecutor in today's trial is apparently Lord Baroque von Zeeks. Lord von Zeeks? Gah! What?! He's a legendary prosecutor who goes by the fearsome moniker, the Grim Reaper of Old Bailey. 2 days ago, Soseki-san and I found ourselves cornered countless times by the Grim Reaper's relentless pursuit. And I somehow managed to win a not guilty verdict in the end, but perhaps that wasn't the end of it, after all. Yes, I remember. There's that legend. Defendants in trial that Lord Von Zeeks prosecutes never make it out alive. No, Soseki! Yes, even if they are declared not guilty, they ultimately come to a mysterious end. That's right, and we witnessed that senseless conclusion once. A terrifying fate of one defendant we defended. Except we already know the truth, but this is before Case 5. That's trippy. That's really trippy. I hope never to be glared at by those icy eyes of his again. Is the curse one me, or the evil spirits, or even the Grim Reaper? I'm likely done for! Likely done for? I can't help getting the sense that you're expecting it. Substitute exchange, Student Naruhodo! Yes. I'm innocent! Please, believe me! You, if no one else! Yes, I understand. I'll believe and fight you till the bitter end. And that's a promise. I'm sure it'll be another rough battle. Oh boy. Now then. It's almost time for court to convene. Let's make our way to the courtroom. Right. Oh, come to think of it. He never showed up, did he? Home-sama, I mean. Maybe it's better that he's not here. Huh? If I see him, I might try to depend on him for backup. The second I let such feelings of weakness surface, our hopes of winning go down the drain. That's what I feel like, anyway. Naruhodo-sama. That's precisely right! That's exactly what I was thinking! Well said, substitute exchange student Naruhodo! I'll sync... This line is really awkward. I'll sync up this katana containing a Sogi soul and fight a battle that brings pride to the status of defense attorneys from the great Japanese Empire. Right! Also, I'll be right back. I'm gonna close the door. It's the same day, 9:40 in the morning in the Old Bailey Supreme Court. Oh joy. Oh boy. Oh boy, I'm excited, new jurors! Or at least one new juror. Now then, I now declare court in session in the name of Her Majesty the Queen. Are both the prosecution and defense prepared? The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. What you need is not readiness, Japanese boy. It is a resolve to accept a guilty verdict. Hell no. I thought so. I can definitely feel it. It's not just my imagination. Lord Von Zeke's intense animosity towards us Japanese. Baroque Von Zeke's days of being called a Grim Reaper are in the past. Apparently for the last 2 years, he's been away from court and hasn't prosecuted any cases. And yet, he suddenly returned, of all times, when I began defending. Legendary Grim Reaper who hates the Japanese. He's a prosecutor who's shrouded in mystery, but... In any case, for now I need to focus on the case. And are you ready as well? 6 jurors selected from the citizens of the Imperial City. Of course! I thought his supposed innocence was suspect. I'm even more cruel on days when the angle of my hat doesn't look good. Oh, in that case, I'd like to try being crushed under your heel. What? Really? Was that really a line? I'd like to try being crushed under your... Wow! I have an executive meeting at 10. I'd appreciate if we just forget this whole trial business. I'm with her. If I don't make 15 shillings today, I'm going to be in for it. Oh lord, please lead this lost lamb toward the right verdict. So this is literally all the jurors from case 4, except for the lady, because obviously the Mrs. Garrett was the culprit. A jury of 6. We don't have this system in our country. In the Great British Courts, it's these 6 citizens who have the established power to declare a verdict. When their votes become unanimous, a final verdict is handed down. These 6 people selected randomly from among the citizens of the Imperial City of London, huh? Incidentally, the defendant just stood on another trial 2 days ago. Therefore, we gather as many of the same jurors as possible for this trial. Now then, let us commence with the trial. Lord Von Zeeks, your opening statement, please. Yours? It is not my intention to blame you. However, this is the result of the not guilty verdict you handed down to this Japanese man 2 days ago. No, it's not! Rather than repenting of his wrongs and setting himself upon the path of righteousness, the defendant has now committed a fearsome crime against the Imperial City. He attempted to murder an innocent English lodger. They'll probably introduce new jurors in the next case. But I guess I can understand why. 3DS limitations. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. And the cape's already off. Okay, we're going serious here. The detective in charge of the crime scene, and the defendant himself. Double mustaches. Witnesses, your names and occupation. Sir, Tobias Gregson. I'm a detective in the Homicide Division of Scotland Yard. I'm Natsume Soseki. I was ordered by the government to study the English language and came here as an exchange student. Defendant. Yes, Your Honor. As I recall, you made a pledge to this court, did you not? That you would never again find yourself in this position. I remember it as if it were only yesterday. In actuality, this occurred 2 days ago, so one might as well say it occurred yesterday. It's not as if I'm here by my own choice. Now then, detective, please begin with a description of the facts of the case. Yes, your lordship. A crime took place at the defendant's boarding house, the boarding house of Mr. Garrett, the landlord, on the first floor. It was in the room of the victim, Mr. William Potensi, that the crime occurred. The defendant has admitted to visiting Mr. Potensi's room that night. The victim collapsed in his own room due to the ingestion of deadly poison, known as Strychnine. Strychnine? S-T-R-Y-C-H-N-I-N-E. I'm going to put this in the chat. Damn, these loading times. Oh, I missed the line. The next morning, the landlord felt that something was amiss and broke the lock on the door to the room and discovered the crime. So when the crime occurred, the room was locked, correct? Indeed. The door to the crime scene was locked from the inside, preventing anyone from coming or going. Although the victim, Mr. Potensi, somehow managed to survive. I believe we wouldn't be remiss to say that he was on the brink of death. Additionally, as I have visited the scene of the crime myself, there is a photo of the situation at the crime scene just after it was discovered. My goodness, he certainly looks dead, doesn't he? Yes, the two who discovered the crime were certain of it at the time. Very well, the court accepts this photo into evidence. Crime scene photo, a photo taken by the police showing the crime scene. The victim lost consciousness due to a deadly poison. By the way, defendant. Yes, sir! Do you have anything you'd like to say on your own behalf? That boarding house is cursed by an evil spirit! What? An evil spirit? There's been a string of baffling incidents at our boarding house. Before I moved in, one boarder died a mysterious death. Then a woman was stabbed in front of the place. Then my neighbor has been poisoned. And then there's me. I might not look it, but I've nearly died several times. Nearly died? What do you mean? I'm sure someone could probably make a custom character with Von Zieg's in Soul Calibur. It happened again on the night of the murder. I just returned from Mr. Potensi's room. Hello, 1001 Paperbox, and thank you for following. I turned my gas stove way up and curled up in bed. Then a little while later, I noticed that at some point the flame on my gas stove went out. And unbeknownst to anyone, I began to die. It's always safest to turn off your gas stove before you go to sleep. But it's frigid! So cold it could freeze a dripping nose! In any case, for someone shivering as hard as I was to poison his neighbor, Just how deep does this curse run? That's fine. I believe we have a general understanding of the situation. By the way, there is one point in this case that can be considered critical. Critical? The victim, Mr. Potensi, has already regained consciousness and indicted the true culprit. The deadly poison was in the tea he consumed that night, and the tea was served to him by none other than the violent defendant. What? Order! Order! He's right. That's the most important point of this case. If Soseki-san really is innocent, then why would the victim accuse him of such a thing? Well, defendant, do you have anything to say in regards to this accusation? That night, I admit that I did bring some hot tea to his room as a token of goodwill. The plumbing had frozen, so I had to go and buy the water, heat it up. And yet this is what happens. I'll never make tea again as long as I live. The plumbing had frozen? That's the first we've heard of this, isn't it? That's enough. In English trials, the defense has the right to conduct a cross-examination at least once. The court requests that the witnesses testify. I trust you have no objections, Lord Von Zeeks. As you wish. The defendant will testify about his actions on the night of the crime. Yes, Your Honor! Poor Soseki. This guy needs a break. Bless. What I was doing on the night of the crime. It's true. That night at around 9 p.m. I took some tea and went to visit him in his room. Some hot tea and some hot literary debate. I returned to my own room around 11 p.m. He locked the door himself! In other words, my tea wasn't the culprit! Raijin is a slow-acting poison. Even if one were to drink it, it wouldn't cause instantaneous death. The victim could have locked the door himself. There's no problem there. God damn it, Gregson. Oh. There don't appear to be any problems here. There was something in the testimony just now that I couldn't help finding a bit curious. Soseki-sama claims that his tea wasn't the culprit, but of course. I assume that an investigation was performed to determine whether the tea actually contained any poison, correct? Good point. About that. Actually, we weren't able to do any such test. And yet you're just gonna claim— oh my god. This is so shady. What? You didn't test the tea? What's the meaning of this? Shouldn't that have been the first thing you— Don't lose your head, Japanese boy. It's not that they simply didn't perform the test, it's that they couldn't. They couldn't? There wasn't a single drop of tea in either the cup of the crime scene, nor the pot. Apparently he greedily gulped down every last drop. With our current technology, the situation made it impossible to conduct an investigation for poison. I'm sure Holmes could do it! If there had been any trace of the tea left at all, we could have tested it though. Okay, then this claim about the tea being poison is super flimsy. Very flimsy. I know, right? It's just poison every damn case in freaking DGS. In any case, according to the victim himself, he didn't consume a single thing the night of the crime, aside from that tea. I see. That clears that up. Take a look at the jury defense. Huh? Surely you can sense their silent convictions. They're saying guilty. I dare say your client's execution is all but certain. Your fellow countryman's life will be condemned in a matter of seconds. I can feel the gazes of the 6 jurors boring pointedly into me. Woo! But I have to keep my chin up. Now then, defense, you may begin your cross-examination. Yes, Your Honor. Or Naruhodo. Okay, what are we doing here? We're pressing? Pressing. This is okay. The guy tells me to press a second save. Some tea and some hot literary debate. He returned to his room around 11. Literary debate. I believe I recall you saying the topic was the works of Shakespeare. Shakespeare, you say? Sounds like a rather standard debate. Indeed it was, Your Honor. Who is stronger, Romeo or Juliet? It was a fascinating discussion. But Romeo and Juliet? Who is stronger? Out of curiosity, what was the verdict? Well, we decided that the fastest way to find out would be to try it for real. And so we fought, in the Greco-Roman melee style, of course. Huh? I'm also Team Juliet. Mr. Potensi has a variety of costumes in his room for such occasions as that. So you say you tried it for real? Don't tell me you actually put those costumes on and... He was Romeo and I was Juliet! Oh my god. We were locked in a grapple and at the end of our melee, my Juliet reigned victorious! It was my defining moment as a Japanese man! It sounds like a truly terrifying and bloody battle. In any case, you admit that you brought tea and went to visit his room, correct? Shakespeare edition, indeed. I boiled the water in my room and carried it to his in a pot. After all, I heard that the man was so poor that he couldn't even afford tea. That's true. I didn't see any tea leaves in his room. I was only trying to show a bit of hospitality. So why are you all glaring at me so suspiciously? I should think it would be obvious that my tea was a perfectly innocent gesture. In that case, state your basis for that claim. Stratton is a slow-acting poison. So then, about how long would it take for the symptoms to show? According to the doctor who examined him, the effects of the poison could take as long as 30 minutes to appear. It causes severe cramps and paralysis, and then the victim dies due to paralysis of the respiratory system. So it takes about 30 minutes from the time it enters the body for the effects of the poison to manifest, huh? Sounds like there are a lot of different types of poisons out there. Talk of poison is always so frightening. It's 30 minutes. That's more than enough time for the victim to have locked his own door after the defendant left. He's got a point. That would suggest that Soseki-san had the opportunity to commit the crime. Here we have the autopsy report filled out by the doctor who examined the victim. It would have been impossible for anyone but the defendant to have killed him. That's what this report tells us. Very well, the court accepts the autopsy report into evidence. Victim's autopsy report. A report completed after an examination by the police surgeon. Alright, here we go. So the victim is William Potensi. He's 31 years old. Oh bless. Cause of coma. Small dose of strychnine. Acute symptoms present after 30 minutes from exposure to poison. It's highly likely that the poison was mixed in with the tea, but as a sample was unable to be collected, testing was not possible. Investigation log. Investigation log. Poisoning estimated to have occurred at around 1:30 in the morning on February 21st. Is it strychnine? Strychnine? Strychnine. Yeah, that's a hard word for me. English. Time indicated by a broken pocket watch thought to have been damaged by the impact of the victim falling when the coma hit. A pocket watch. Ooh, that might come into something later. Additionally, nothing that could have acted as container or the poison was discovered at the scene of the crime. Strychnine. I'm gonna try to remember that. He's right. It's written here. A slow-acting deadly poison. That's not good. The victim could have locked the door himself. There's no problem there. Okay, we're gonna present that medical report, apparently. I'm gonna save. Because every time I play this, and even though it tells me to present something, I always misread it. But we're supposed to present the autopsy report, so... No problem there. I'm afraid that just isn't true. What? There's a time discrepancy here. Time discrepancy? What do you mean? According to this medical report, the victim ingested the poison at around 1:30 a.m. However, the defendant, Soseki-san, left the victim's room at 11. Ugh! That's right. There's a gap there of more than 2 hours. Oh. Greg. In other words, if it had been Soseki-san who poisoned his tea, this 2.5-hour gap is a clear contradiction. Why do they have the same freaking out reaction? That's beautiful. That's true. It is. Your thoughts, Lord Von Zieks? Is he gonna throw it to the gallery or hit this into the... well, not hit the gallery, but... crush it in his hands or throw it into the lamp? For the impropriety of contemplating a fitting lunch to accompany this lord's chalice in the middle of the trial, I beg your indulgence. Contradiction, you say? It seems. Crush in hands. You know, you could literally make a betting game of what Von Zieks gonna do with his chalice. Either he's gonna throw it into the lamppost or crush it in his hand. Contradiction, you say? It means that this Japanese boy is seeing some sort of fleeting fantasy. Fantasy? The victim must have drank his tea alone after the defendant returned to his room. At the time recorded in the medical report, yes, around 1:30 in the morning. But Soseki-san brought the tea for them to drink together. And we have a saying back in Japan. Drink your tea while it's still hot. On the other hand, in our country, we have this saying. The goddess smiles upon cold tea. England likes their tea cold, okay? Besides, with the time gap like that, I think there could be other possibilities. Other possibilities, such as... Not all, no! For example, oh, maybe he had another visitor or something. Another visitor, That's a rather sloppy accusation, Japanese boy. Or maybe the victim poisoned himself. You mean to say that this is a suicide attempt? William Potensi has denied the possibility of suicide in no uncertain terms. That possibility does not exist. But Potensi-san could be lying. Von Zieks is just like, I'm so done with you. Is something wrong, Lord Von Zieks? For the rudeness of focusing on the sound of the express carriages racing by outside the courthouse in the middle of the trial, I beg your indulgence. Carriages? It would seem that, just now, the man himself has arrived. Hold it! What the? Soseki! Out, out, brief candle. Life's but a wandering silhouette. A poor player that struts and frets his hour upon the stage. And once his hour is over, he is heard no more. Oh my god. Yo, this mocap's so good! And you are William Potensi, the victim of this crime. What? Oh my lord. The prosecution moves to call this man as its next witness. His testimony will crush your useless struggle into dust. Next witness. Very well. The court is very interested as well in what the victim himself can tell us. I, Potensi, am honored and pleased. But I still have a mountain of things I want to say, such as just how innocent and harmless I am, and in beautiful English, no less. Now then, the court will hear the victim's testimony. Wait, what? Why are you here? What? So this is Potensi-san. That's great and all. But who's that person standing next to him? Somehow, I feel like I've been getting glimpses of him around recently. Now then, witnesses, your name and professions. My words fly up. My thoughts remain below. The prolific poet and great playwright, William Shakespeare. How sublime would it be if I were a reincarnation of him? Those are the sort of musings I, William Potensi, entertain. I'm, Chicago Meter Man. I work for the East End branch of Ultimate Gas Company. Well, we got a name this time! Now I remember. Yesterday on Briar Road. She's right. He was... I wonder what that guy's up to. He's peeking into Soseki-san's boarding house. Is something wrong? Excuse me. May we have a moment? Ah! I'm sorry, his poses are fantastic. Ah, boy. We ran into him in front of Gyakuten-san's boarding house. So he works for the gas company. What's he doing here? William Potensi, you're the victim of this crime. Oh heaven, oh hell, would you have me remember? Indeed, I, Potensi, had a mouthful of the scent of sweet poison. I requested your presence in court after obtaining the doctor's permission to have you testify. The testimony of the victim himself ought to eliminate the need for debate. Behold, you see before you an angel in the flesh. Oh God. I am pure, magnificent, and lovely, an honest man without peer, an angel. Of all the things he could have chosen, he had to go with an angel. However, that seems to have had a strong impression on the jurors. So in other words, the jurors have sided with the angel. Very well. The court understands your situation quite well. So what is the gas company employee beside him doing here? Who? Me? In your previous rude statement, you said to the effect of, perhaps someone else visited the victim's room that night. You then had the gall to say, perhaps the victim is nothing more than a big fat liar. No, I didn't go that far. Kinda did. The young man with the large chin here is here to crush your quarrelsome claims. Is that right, large-chinned youth? Oh, well, like I said, I'm just... Now then, the court would like to hear your testimony. Testify about what happened on the night of the crime. People can smile and murder while they smile. Now then, let me speak. I shall tell you the truth that lurks behind the tragedy that occurred that winter's night. What is going on? Oh, this guy. A winter's night tragedy. That snowy night, a certain neighbor of mine visited my room with some tea. The tea, how bitter it was. My neighbor left, and I fell prostrate upon the table. The only thing I consumed that night was that suspect's tea. Good question, actually. He's 23! He's 23! He's younger than Baroque! Baroque's 32! So he was right. Anyway. I kept watch over his room all night from outside that frozen window, see? The only person who visited this bloke's room that night was that short hunchback Oriental. Why was he even looking in his room the whole night? I don't understand. What the heck? Just a moment, please. You were watching Potensi-san's room all night? Right. Well, I don't really know why, but that window is mostly blocked off. There's just one spot where there's a gap in the bricks and you can see into the room. So I was standing out there, my teeth chattering like mad, watching through that little hole. Why? But why on earth would you do such a thing? Huh? Well, there's one of them long stories behind that. Wait, hold on. He works for the gas company. The house runs with gas lamps and stuff. Gas and... You know what I mean. Was he there to inspect the gas? What a piece of work, this man. That's the only thing to be said about that. What do you mean? This large-chinned gentleman's jest has nothing to do with this case. Perhaps you do me the courtesy of ignoring it. What you say? He looks like a little bumblebee, it's great. Well, never mind that. What matters is what happened at the scene of the crime that night, and nothing more. Indeed, you're right. And, as this testimony has just made abundantly clear, it would have been impossible for anyone but the defendant to have committed the crime. It seems as though this will be our final testimony. Oh, hell no. Now then, defense, your cross-examination, please. Yes, Your Honor. Alright, let's see. Snowy night, a certain neighbor of mine visited my home with tea, press. When you said your neighbor, you're of course referring to Saseki-san, correct? Oh yes, well, if I wanted to be precise, I suppose I'd have to call him the man from the second floor. But you get the idea. About what time was it when that hunchback mustached Japanese man came to visit you? 9 p.m. The agreed upon time, on the dot. He arrived with some fragrant tea. That agrees with the defendant's testimony. And then we discussed the most fascinating topic in literary history. As I recall, that was... Who is stronger, Romeo or Juliet, wasn't it? I, Potensi, was Romeo. My neighbor was Juliet. Then, clad in our respective costumes, we attempted an impromptu investigation of the matter. It sounds like a truly hellish sight. Reality, thy name is woman. I'd heard of an oriental fighting technique called jujitsu, but I never would have dreamed that Juliet was a practitioner. Sounds like Juliet sent Romeo flying. Dude, I want to see Soseki toss someone! Jeez! Allow us to wrap up the most fascinating topic in literary history. And hear your testimony about the tea that the defendant brought. Yes, my lord. Potensi, at your service. Juliet toss! Yes! The tea! How bitter it was. Neighbor left and he fell upon the table. One moment, please. Toseki-san returned to his own room at 11. It was after 2 when you collapsed from the poisoning. That means there was a time gap of over 3 hours. What is he doing? Is he a crab? What is that dance? If you're going to claim that the defendant put the poison in your tea, then how on earth do you explain this 3-hour gap? Ah, that's simple. Oh, please stop that. Huh? I drank my tea after my guest had returned to his room. It had gone cold by that point, but it quenched my early morning thirst. But no matter how you look at it, that's just unnatural. No, not at all. After all, at the time, we were in the middle of an intense literary debate. There was no time to be sipping hot tea. Who's stronger, Romeo or Juliet, huh? Allow me to confirm one final thing, William Potensi. The reason you graced us with your presence was to indict the defendant with your own mouth, correct? Okay, but don't forget the judge, too. The judge can also toss people. The Japanese judge, I mean. It certainly was, Lord Von Zeeks. I was sent halfway to Valhalla by that hunchback's love of literature. Damn it. This doesn't look good. The only thing he drank that night was the tea. All Japanese except for Naruhodo, he can't toss anyone. I don't know, maybe Hosonaga could toss someone? You didn't have, for example, any dinner or, Huh! The word dinner hardly even appears in my lexicon. Uh-huh. Meals are to be consumed once a day. There's no morning, noon, or night about it. Why is he hopping? Goodness, that's rather Spartan of you. I'm the sort of man who endeavors to spend every hour researching the works of that prolific poet and playwright. That's precisely my room. Why my room is dedicated to my stage costumes and little else. That's true. The investigation of your room turned up a rat that had starved to death. Come to think of it, I don't think there was any food in his room. We didn't find so much as a single book on theater. I ate those long ago. What? You ate them? I'd already memorized their contents. Is there some sort of problem with that? Well, now I understand why this man is super loopy. Alright, I get it. Can you turn back around now, please? Therefore, there was no way that he could have ingested the poison any other way, via the defendant's tea. Ugh. He watched his room all night from the frozen window. As I recall, all the windows in the boarding house should be blocked off. It's likely a relic of the window tax system. Yeah, they filled it in hideously with bricks. But there's just one little portion of the window that's able to be opened. That's how I was peeking in. That's true. The window in that room was able to be opened just a little. Now that she mentions it, I seem to recall 2 bars of soap being lined up side by side outside the window. There are about a million things I'd rather be doing than spending a frigid night peeking into some old bloke's room. But that's the mission that was assigned to me, and I'll stake my blazing life on it. His bag makes him look like he's got a bumblebee butt. What was that little appeal to the audience for? By the way, witness, after the defendant returned to his room, did you happen to see the victim leave his room again? Nope! I'm pretty sure he was in his room the whole time. In other words, just eliminate the possibility of suicide. Why do you say that? The police searched the environments. The environs? The police searched the environs at the crime scene quite thoroughly and didn't discover any sort of vessel that might have once held the poison. I don't know what that word was that I tried to read. Without having found any trace of the possibility of the victim dispose of it. It's impossible for him to have attempted suicide. The culprit must have carried the poison container off with him. I see. That's some very lucid logic. That's a good point. Is that what it would mean? The only person who visited the room was the Hunchback Oriental. Wait. A short Hunchback Oriental. Are you saying that you're not sure it was the defendant? He said it was a short Hunchback Oriental with a mustache. It's a nearly perfect description. Well, the hole isn't that big, and that room was dim, so I couldn't see his mustache. But he definitely showed up at 9. So when the visitor arrived, did the two of them not drink tea together? Nah, I'm not sure. Huh? I mean, I couldn't get a good look at the inside of the room. But at one point, the silhouette of the small hunchbacked man put on a lovely dress. They started grappling sluggishly. I have no idea what that was about. Oh god. I think that was likely when Romeo-sama and Juliet-sama were dueling for superiority. Witness, allow me to confirm with you one last time. Did no one besides the defendant visit that room that night? Nope, not a soul. Hold it! Oh boy. Oh no, here we go. Your Honor! What is it, Tedjura? I've been listening in silence all this time, but I've had about all I can take. Wouldn't you agree, everyone? Yes. In other words, your votes are now unanimous. I realize now I have to I hope I have the reference notes of who I casted in case 4 of GGS1 because I have to bring nearly all of them back except for the new lady. The new lady I have to recast, so. Your votes are unanimous. Is that what you mean to say? Yes, yes, they certainly are. Wouldn't you agree, everyone? Yes, again. Please, wait. We're still in the middle of a cross-examination. To be honest, Mr. Attorney, I had high hopes for you. After all, a decent amount of time passed after the mustache defendant returned to his room, for example. 3-hour gap, But nothing happened during that time. As long as that fact is clear, there's nothing to hinder our votes. Like I said, if I don't come home with 15 shillings today, I'm really in for it. Eh? What did you say? I can't hear. Very well, then allow us to hear them. Jurors, state your votes for the court now.
Yuzai!
Yuzai.
Yuzai!
Yuzai.
Yuzai! Yuzai!
I don't know how soon. I think case 3 in DGS1's test the jurors thingy happened a lot sooner than this one. But it seems that the jurors' votes are unanimous. Finally, a just verdict has been handed down. There was no more than a formality. This has clinched your client's ruling. A ruling of guilty. Magic fireballs. Naruhodo-sama, please lift up your head. The trial still isn't over. Susato-san. Please recall the words of this old British jurisprudence. Recall the right recorded there that the defense has. The final appeal. That's right. This is an English legal procedure that doesn't exist in Japan. If I can just convince a majority of them to overturn their votes, then we'll be able to continue with the trial. I can't let the trial end this way. Regardless of what I have to do. The defense will invoke its right to a final appeal. As always, you don't know when to give up, do you, Japanese boy? Refusing to accept the truth and clinging to some archaic system. That's true. No one claims the right to a final appeal anymore. That's because overturning votes that have already been cast is unheard of. However, that does not mean that right has been erased. The defense has made a legitimate request. As per the provisions allowed by the Great British Jurisprudence, we shall now commence the final appeal. Thank you very much. Are you ready, Joris? I'm well aware of this defense attorney's stubbornness. Challenge accepted. Very well. Now then, jurors, hear the court's request. State your reason and basis for deciding that the defendant is guilty. The jurors' claims. The victim may be poor, but he's noble and honest. There's absolutely no reason to doubt him. Well, let's see. There's no reason for him to lie, and besides, he's a fine man. Then on the other hand, you have the Japanese defendant, and he's got that mustache and hunchback. He's suspicious. Oh great, we're going by looks? I don't have any proof that that lanky fellow is a thieving bastard either. Not yet anyway. Oh, honestly, sod this. Let's just get this over with already. I'll be in trouble. At my age, a little 3-hour gap doesn't bother me a bit. The feeling when all the jurors vote guilty unanimously never fails to weigh heavily on me. It sounds as though the jurors were struck by Potensi-sama's nobility and honesty. More like they were bewitched by his strange movements, if you ask me. Unfortunately, Soseki-sama's words seems to have completely missed their mark. Anyway, I'll give it a shot. I just have to remember that I've already managed to change their minds once for Soseki-san's sake. Ah, if you like, I could refresh your memory in regards to how the final appeal works. Huh? You're still not quite used to English court procedures after all. She's right, and Soseki-san's fate is resting on this. Maybe I should listen closely to what she has to say. What should I do? I could listen to Susato-san's explanation of how the final appeal works. No, we're good. We're good. We got this. Thank you, Susato-san, but I've already brought our cases back from the dead with the final appeal a few times. I think it's probably best if we just try to get through this as quickly as possible. That makes sense. You're absolutely right. Feel free to ask me if you're not sure about anything. I'll do everything I can to help. Jurors' own words will be the key here. I just have to find contradictions between them and pit the contradicting statements against each other. Now then, defense, you may begin your final appeal. Yes, Your Honor. After I do this, I don't know if we're gonna have it to be continued, but I'm gonna take a break after this, this final appeal. Alright, let's do this. He's noble and honest, no reason to doubt him. There must be poor but noble liars somewhere in this huge imperial city, though, right? I mean, look at frickin' Mangadol. Naturally, I'm sure there are. Your client, for instance. Or I don't, you know what, Egg Benedict. No, Soseki-san isn't a liar. Well, the only thing the victim consumed that night was that Japanese man's tea. Then you consider it alongside the testimony of the young man with the large chin who works for the gas company, it's obvious. Well, that was unexpectedly logical. Allow me to make this abundantly clear. I'm an English gentleman. If that Shakespeare lover were to turn out to be a loathsome liar, I promise I will gladly change my vote. Isn't that right, my fellow English gentlemen? Well, I suppose. I doubt that'll happen, though. Huh? What was that? I'm a rather elderly gentleman, so I didn't quite hear you. Oh god, this guy. God damn it, I don't care one way or the other. Let's just get this over with. So, just how many of them ended up being gentlemen? Understood. All I ask is that you remember your promise when the time comes. If it becomes clear that the victim is a liar, I'll rethink my position on the matter. I don't have any proof that the lanky fellow is a thieving bastard. Not yet, anyway. What do you mean, a thieving bastard? It's quite a troubling problem for us at the company. Even if we know that one of our customers is a thief without definitive proof, we can't accuse them or we risk being sued. Pardon me, but what sort of... My husband is Herb Altamont. My husband is Herb Altamont, the president of Altamont Gas. We're hearing a lot of discussions about gas in this case. Like, Gerda was talking about gas. We have a witness that works for the gas company, and now we have the wife who runs the gas company. I'm starting to think that maybe it wasn't poison, and then maybe it has something to do with the gas, because like, this is way too much coincidence. What? You're the president's wife? Gas is a shining beacon of hope in the dawning new century. Therefore, using it correctly is important. Isn't that right, East End branch boy? That's right! Use it clean and proper. Ultimate Gas is the best in the world. That was cool. He wasn't even at the defense bench. Like, we almost saw his full profile. That's really cool. I suppose that solves the mystery of that bow. Guess it was a fervent appeal to the company's president's wife. So then, does that mean that the reason Meterman-san is performing surveillance on Potensi-san's room is that East End lot have found some means of stealing gas? So when we find reason to be suspicious of someone, we assign someone to watch them and do a thorough investigation. So then, Potensi-san was... I can't say this publicly. But he's a grimy, gas-stealing, rubbishly bastard. I'm not sure you could have stated that any more clearly than you just did, Mrs. President. One's eyes cannot hear, one's ears cannot see. Please ignore that incredibly rude comment you just heard. My angelic ears pay little mind to anything other than what I want to hear. I may not have proof now, but rest assured I will find some. Even her freaking umbrella. Oh my god. There's just bees. Is the gas company just full of bees? Like, it's just like a bee motif with them or something. And when that time comes, they'll be scraping bits of you off the pavement after a gas explosion, courtesy of our company. So Potensi-san is a gas thief. Mrs. 4, would you mind adding those words to your claim? Yes, certainly. The bit about the gas explosion, correct? No, I meant the part a little before that. Please, no B-movie too. Alright then. This should change things. He may be playing the victim, but he's actually a filthy gas thief. There's an obvious contradiction between these two claims. Contradiction? In those testimonies? A word, please, Juror 1. Certainly. What is it? Perhaps you heard what the company's president's wife, Juror 4, just said. Ugh. The man you claim to be poor but noble and honest is actually a gas-stealing, thieving bastard, apparently. But she doesn't have any proof. I heard her say that too. Yes, that's true for now, but I do have a basis for my claim. What? Yes, now that you've already uncovered this much, I suppose I can have my company boy there testify about it. Understood! In the name of the Ultimate! Juror 1, I hope you remember what you said earlier. You'd change your vote if it came out that Potensi-san is a liar. I believe that was your promise. Yes, you're right. An English gentleman doesn't go back on his word. Isn't that right, fellow English gentlemen? Huh? Well, I suppose not. Now that we know he's a liar, I'd like to think it over a little more. Well, to be honest, I missed more than half of what was just said. So this might be a fun chance to listen to what everyone has to say one more time. Not so fast, you lot! This isn't good. I need this to be over as quickly as possible. In that case, I'll change my vote instead. William Potensi. The jurors wish to know who you really are. Damn, okay, we're good, I guess. That makes 4 votes for not guilty. Which makes this a victory for us. Order! Though I can scarcely believe this turn of events, the result of the final appeal is that the juror's decision has been altered. 2 vote guilty and 4 vote not guilty. Therefore, at this juncture, the votes are no longer unanimous, and the court must order the trial to continue. Oh, what a pathetic state of affairs, William Potensi. It appears that the jurors feel that they cannot trust you, the victim. You gods will give us some faults to us men. To make us men. Oops, excuse me. I, Potensi, swear before heaven and again before the earth. The words from this large-chinned gentleman's mouth are not but gas. They blaze brilliantly for a moment, but we cannot see them, and they serve no purpose but to stink. What'd you just say? So you mean to say that you deny the accusations that you are a gas thief? I certainly do, Your Honor. Allow me to state once more right now. I am pure, magnificent, and lovely. An honest man without peer. An angel. Damn you! Just because we don't have proof don't mean you're allowed to be all schmarmy. But Potensi-san, if you aren't pure, magnificent, nor lovely, and were in fact a liar without peer, That would naturally mean that your testimony cannot be trusted. This court will now voice its thoughts. Currently, there is no one but the defendant who could have committed the crime. And all the testimony we heard thus far supports the defendant as the true culprit. In other words, it would be incredibly easy for us to hand down a verdict right now. But... However, as long as the jurors harbor doubts toward this witness, the court has no choice but to continue the trial. I assure the court that this is a waste of time. This gas business has nothing to do with the case at hand. Juror 4. Yes? Just now, you said the following about the gas theft. That you had no concrete proof, but you did have grounds for your claims. Yes, I certainly did. Isn't that right, East End branch boy? Yes, madam. Ultimate Gas doesn't lie. Very well. In that case, we'll be needing your testimony about the suspicion of William Potenzi's gas theft. Yes, of course. In the name of Ultimate, If I may, Your Honor. Yes, Juror 4? If that boy is going to be charged with providing a testimony that our company can be confident in, allow me to take the stand as well, in order to supervise. Whoa! Whoa! Oh, I've been waiting for this! Please, 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 please! Oh my god, he's so excited. Do you like a crush on her? Very well. The court is willing to make special provisions. You know, I kind of get it now. She's the queen bee, and then that's the worker bee. I get it now. I get that joke now. You have my thanks, Your Honor. This is what I've been waiting to hear. Madam President's heated testimony. Now then, the court will hear your testimony regarding Ultimate Gas's investigation of improper gas use. Are you prepared, boy? Yes, madam. We'll reveal to everyone that Ultimate Gas is the best in the world. What do you think that was about, Susato-san? That's a working man for you. Okay. Oh, I think Tales of Race froze on me. Okay, I guess I'll just close that off for now. Charge that up. Alright, going into trial for poor Soseki. Obviously, I'm sure there's probably another trial. I don't know. I mean, we never did talk to Potenzi. He just kind of went and, like, to the hospital, so. Okay. It's February 22nd, 9:23 in the morning in Old Bailey, the defendant's lobby. Old Bailey Courthouse. It's got its usual undefinable air. There's this chill that penetrates to the depths of my insides, and yet it carries a tinge of warmth. I didn't think I'd be back here so soon. That's my line! Good morning! Poor Soseki. Soseki-san, good morning. It's only been 2 days since I was declared innocent in this courthouse. The incident where Viridian-san was stabbed in the back, huh? And yet! Yesterday a new incident occurred and now here we are! With incredible speed! That's true. Curse might be the most fitting way to describe him. Naruhodo-sama! Something terrible has happened! Well now, Soseki-sama, good morning. Good morning! Good luck today. I'll be counting on you. So, what terrible thing has happened now? Legal aid Mikatoba! Oh dear, you heard that. You said it in such a loud, terrified voice, it practically drilled its way into my ears! Oh, I'm very sorry. It's alright, Susato-san. Just tell us what happened. If I see him, I might try to depend on him for backup. The second I let such feelings of weakness surface, our hopes of winning go down the drain. That's what I feel like, anyway. Naruhodo-sama. That's precisely right! That's exactly what I was thinking! Well said, substitute exchange student Naruhodo! I'll sync... This line is really awkward. I'll sync up this katana containing a Sogi soul and fight a battle that brings pride to the status of defense attorneys from the great Japanese Empire. Right! Also, I'll be right back. I'm gonna close the door. It's the same day, 9:40 in the morning in the Old Bailey Supreme Court. Oh joy. Oh boy. Oh boy, I'm excited, new jurors! Or at least one new juror. Now then, I now declare court in session in the name of Her Majesty the Queen. Are both the prosecution and defense prepared? The prosecution is ready. The defense is ready. What you need is not readiness, Japanese boy. It is a resolve to accept a guilty verdict. Hell no. I thought so. I can definitely feel it. It's not just my imagination. Lord Von Zeke's intense animosity towards us Japanese. Baroque Von Zeke's days of being called a Grim Reaper are in the past. Apparently for the last 2 years, he's been away from court and hasn't prosecuted any cases. And yet, he suddenly returned, of all times, when I began defending. Legendary Grim Reaper who hates the Japanese. He's a prosecutor who's shrouded in mystery, but... In any case, for now I need to focus on the case. And are you ready as well? 6 jurors selected from the citizens of the Imperial City. Of course! I thought his supposed innocence was suspect. I'm even more cruel on days when the angle of my hat doesn't look good. Oh, in that case, I'd like to try being crushed under your heel. What? Really? Was that really a line? I'd like to try being crushed under your... Wow! I have an executive meeting at 10. I'd appreciate if we just forget this whole trial business. I'm with her. If I don't make 15 shillings today, I'm going to be in for it. Oh lord, please lead this lost lamb toward the right verdict. So this is literally all the jurors from case 4, except for the lady, because obviously the Mrs. Garrett was the culprit. A jury of 6. We don't have this system in our country. In the Great British Courts, it's these 6 citizens who have the established power to declare a verdict. When their votes become unanimous, a final verdict is handed down. These 6 people selected randomly from among the citizens of the Imperial City of London, huh? Incidentally, the defendant just stood on another trial 2 days ago. Therefore, we gather as many of the same jurors as possible for this trial. Now then, let us commence with the trial. Lord Von Zeeks, your opening statement, please. Yours? It is not my intention to blame you. However, this is the result of the not guilty verdict you handed down to this Japanese man 2 days ago. No, it's not! Rather than repenting of his wrongs and setting himself upon the path of righteousness, the defendant has now committed a fearsome crime against the imperial city. He attempted to murder an innocent English lodger. They'll probably introduce new jurors in the next case. But I guess I can understand why. 3DS limitations. Now then, the prosecution would like to call its first witness. And the cape's already off. Okay, we're going serious here. The detective in charge of the crime scene, and the defendant himself. The prosecutor in today's trial is apparently Lord Baroque von Zeeks. Lord von Zeeks? Gah! What? He's a legendary prosecutor who goes by the fearsome moniker, the Grim Reaper of Old Bailey. 2 days ago, Soseki-san and I found ourselves cornered countless times by the Grim Reaper's relentless pursuit. And I somehow managed to win a not guilty verdict in the end, but perhaps that wasn't the end of it, after all. Yes, I remember. There's that legend. Defendants in trials that Lord Von Zeeks prosecutes never make it out alive. Huh? No, Soseki! Yes, even if they are declared not guilty, they ultimately come to a mysterious end. That's right, and we witnessed that senseless conclusion once. A terrifying fate of one defendant we defended. Except we already know the truth, but this is before Case 5. That's trippy. That's really trippy. I hope never to be glared at by those icy eyes of his again. Is the cursed one me, or the evil spirits, or even the Grim Reaper? I'm likely done for! Likely done for? I can't help getting the sense that you're expecting it. Substitute exchange student Naruhodo! Yes. I'm innocent! Please, believe me! You, if no one else! Yes, I understand. I'll believe and fight you till the bitter end. And that's a promise. I'm sure it'll be another rough battle. Oh boy. Now then. It's almost time for court to convene. Let's make our way to the courtroom. Right. Oh, come to think of it. Never showed up, did he? Home-sama, I mean. Maybe it's better that he's not here. Huh? Double mustaches. Witnesses, your names and occupation. Sir, Tobias Gregson. I'm a detective in the Homicide Division of Scotland Yard. I'm Natsume Soseki. I was ordered by the government to study the English language and came here as an exchange student. Defendant. Yes, Your Honor. As I recall, you made a pledge to this court, did you not? That you would never again find yourself in this position. I remembered it as if it were only yesterday. In actuality, this occurred 2 days ago, so one might as well say it occurred yesterday. It's not as if I'm here by my own choice. Now then, detective, please begin with a description of the facts of the case. Yes, your lordship. A crime took place at the defendant's boarding house, the boarding house of Mr. Garrett, the landlord, on the first floor. It was in the room of the victim, Mr. William Potensi, that the crime occurred. The defendant has admitted to visiting Mr. Potensi's room that night. The victim collapsed in his own room due to the ingestion of deadly poison known as Strychnine. Strychnine? Strychnine. I'm going to put this in the chat. Damn, these loading times. Oh, I missed a line. The next morning, the landlord felt that something was amiss and broke the lock on the door to the room and discovered the crime. So when the crime occurred, the room was locked, correct? Indeed. The door to the crime scene was locked from the inside, preventing anyone from coming or going. Although the victim, Mr. Pentensi, somehow managed to survive. I believe we wouldn't be remiss to say that he was on the brink of death.